In order to subscribe to my channel, please click here or click here. Please share, comment and like my videos and channel. Hello guys, welcome to SaaS with ServiceNow. This is ServiceNow System Administrator training and this is part 9. This training has been recorded in Orlando version of ServiceNow. Before we start the training, let me show you the topics of this complete training. In this 9th part of the training, we will talk about ACLs in ServiceNow, Access Control List, which are also called ACL. ServiceNow has different level of securities to access data into ServiceNow. This accessibility of data can be controlled with the help of ACLs. In this section, we will learn about ACLs in ServiceNow, types of permissions in ServiceNow, how to define access control for tables and fields, and we will also try to create new ACLs in ServiceNow in my personal developer instance. Types of permission. ServiceNow provides different level of securities for a user before he takes any action in the system. The first security is login, which is basically controlled on the basis of user, group, and roles. Login is also the first level of security, which is mandatory to be authenticated before interacting with UI of ServiceNow. Next level of security we have is applications and modules. Once a user is logged in, the next level of security is visibility of applications and modules, which is on the basis of roles assigned to a user, logged in user. Tables and records. If a user has access to the modules, he can also see the list of records for a particular table. However, those records will only be visible and editable if the user has required access. These accesses for tables and records are based on ACL, which are also called Access Control List. What is access control? Access control is a kind of security rule which is defined to restrict the permission of a user to interact with tables and records. Moreover, data we have in ServiceNow. It is the highest level of security which can be applied at table level, record level, which is called a row level access. And then we have field level, which is called column level access. Operations restricted. There are a number of operations which can be restricted with the help of access control rules for users, like CRUD operations, which is basic operation for any database. CRUD is basically create operation. Users cannot create the record if restriction is applied. If they have access, they can create the record. So that's called create operation. Then we have read. Users cannot read the record or field if restriction is applied. Then we have update operation, in which users cannot update or edit records or fields if restriction is applied. And then we have delete operation. And that's how it make CRUD. Now in delete operations, user cannot delete the record if restriction is applied. So as I mentioned, it's a basic operations of any database users can do. Create, read, update, or delete. With these crude operations, we also have some ServiceNow specific operations. So you can apply these restrictions on your different records and fields in ServiceNow. But you can add some actions, operations specific to ServiceNow. That is, execute. That means if restriction is applied, users cannot execute a script on a record. Then we have added CI relations. In this, users cannot add relationships in CMDB. Then we have save as template. ServiceNow has a template functionality. If you will apply this restriction, then users cannot see that field to be available to create the templates. So you can create templates for different fields on a particular table. But if you will apply that restriction that only specific users should use that field for template, then it will be applied like the same. And users cannot use those fields for save as template. Then we have report on. Users cannot create reports. And then we have personalized choice. Users cannot right-click on the field and configure choices of the field. So if you will apply some restrictions related to personalized choice, then they cannot right-click on the field and configure the options you have for choice fields. So these are the operations which you can apply in ServiceNow with the help of ACLs. Security modules. ServiceNow provides 3 modules where you can do configurations for security permissions of the platform. The first one is security module, which is under system properties, which has different properties to configure the security of the platform. Then we have high security settings, which has properties to configure high-level security permissions of the platform. And this module is available under System Security Application. The second module we have under System Security is ACL, where you will find list of different security rules on your instance tables. And as I mentioned, this application is available under System Security Application. So whenever you have to create some rules for different tables, for different records, and you have to put some securities, you have to put some constraints for different users, and you got the requirement from your customers, in that case, you can create access controls. Access control list. Access control list is a list of defined rules, which are called access control. These rules are created at tables, records, and field level. If you are a ServiceNow administrator, you can create or modify these rules. However, you also need to elevate the access to high-level security to work on the access control list rules. I will show you later that how exactly you can enable the elevated access. But to elevate the access, you should have security_admin role. Access control form and fields. This is the access control form which you will see while editing or creating rules in ServiceNow. The important fields of access control are type of ACL. Here you select what type of ACL is this. Most developers and admins use record type. However, you can also use other types like REST endpoint, which is used for integrations ACL. Next field we have is operation. In this field, you select for which operation ACL is being applied. Read, update, or others, which we talked about earlier. Then we have admin override. This checkbox will always allow admins to perform the operation, regardless of any condition mentioned in the ACL, which means it will override the ACL. So if you want admin to perform the action, regardless of the condition you mention in the rule, then you have to check this box. But if you want to apply that security rule for all the users, even he has admin access, then you can uncheck this box. In this section where you select the table, an object you want to apply the ACL. And this is the important part here. So you have to select the table and on which table you want to apply this ACL. And then you have to select the object. Now, what are these objects? We will talk about it later. Then we have description. Here you mention the details of ACL, which you are going to create. The permissions provided via ACL are based on 3 conditions, which are mentioned in 3 sections. Required roles, condition, which is mentioned here, and then you have custom script. So you can write the custom code if you cannot achieve it with the help of requires role or condition. Then we have execution plan. Now here, if you will click this button, you will see a pop-up which will show the execution plan, that what kind of access you have on this particular ACL. What kind of ACL have been applied. That is something you can see here. ACL Rule Types. Now here I was talking about the important section where you exactly mention that which particular element, which particular object has to be configured for rules, for security. So while creating an ACL, you need to provide the name where you specify which objects needs to be restricted. So you have 3 types of ACL which you can apply on. One is table.none. That means you select the table and you don't select anything in the second field. Now this type of rule is applied on the whole table, which is selected with all the records. So if you want to apply security constraint for any particular table, in that case, you can create this kind of ACL. Then we have table.star or asterisk. Now, if you will select table, that means like incident, and in second field, you select star. That's another option you will see. Now, this type of rule is applied on every field of a record in the table. So for example, user has access to the table, but if you want the user should not see all the fields, that is something you can do table.star. So whatever code you will write, whatever condition you will write, whatever required roles you will select, it will be applied accordingly for all the records of that table. And lastly, we have a table.field, in which rule is applied on a specific field of the table. So for example, user has access to the table and all the records, but you want to apply rules on specific fields, and you don't want those 2 fields visible to maybe some kind of roles. In that case, you can create this kind of rule as well. Let's see these ACL rules in details. So in table.none, all the users who are qualifying the condition mentioned in the ACL can see all problem records. If they don't have access or they don't match condition as per the conditions mentioned in the ACL, then they can't see those records. That means they will not have access to the table. Then we have table.star. In table.star, all users who are qualifying the condition mentioned in the ACL can see all problem records fields. So they can see the problem records. At the same time, they can see all the problem record fields. And they will have all the access. And then we have table.field. So in table.field, all the users who are qualifying the condition mentioned in the ACL can only see the data in the field selected in that particular access rule. And if they don't have access, and if they don't match the condition which is mentioned in the ACL, then they will not be able to see that particular field, the value available in that particular field. And the best part of ACL is, let me tell you, that it is also applied in reporting. So it doesn't mean that if user is not able to see the data on the form, they cannot see the data from reporting as well. And that's what we say, that ACLs are the highest level of security you can apply in ServiceNow. How ACL works. So let's say example, user tries to log into ServiceNow and he will try to access the record. But before ServiceNow shows that record data to user, it processes something in the backend. That means it tries to find ACL for the same object. And also tries to find the matching rule. So whatever object user is trying to access, system first check, do I have similar kind of access rule for that object? So if the answer is no, so system did not find any matching rule, any kind of ACL for that object, then access is granted to the user. That means user can access that data. But if match is found, that means system found, yes, there is a matching rule in the system for that particular object. Then it will basically evaluate the ACL. So whatever condition it would have in that particular ACL, that will try to evaluate. And then it will pass the ACL. That means, yes, I have found it. It will evaluate. So if it is passing the ACL, then it will grant the access. So if user is able to match the condition which is mentioning in the ACL, then it will grant the access. And if it is not passing the ACL, that means the condition which is mentioned in the ACL is not as per the user's role, maybe user's group, maybe, or whatever condition mentioned in the system, then it will not grant the access. Access will not be granted to the user, and user will not be able to see the data which he is trying to look for. But that's how this ACL works in ServiceNow. Now let me take you to my personal developer instance, and I will try to create some records, and I will show you how ACL works. I will show you the ACL module as well. This is my personal developer instance. As I mentioned earlier, the first level of security in ServiceNow is login. So user has to be authenticated and log into ServiceNow before he accesses the data. So let me log in first. So I will enter username and the password and press enter. Now, as of now, I am an administrator. So I can see basically all the data which I am allowed to see. So let me show you the ACL module first. So in Application Navigator, I will type access space control. If you will just type con, you will automatically get under System Security, you will find this module. So if you will click on this access control, you will see the list of all ACLs created, all the rules applied and created for various tables of your instance. Now, if I search for incident table, for example, so before that, I will do one thing. I will check if I can select table. So, but I have to do it in the name. So I will go here and I will mention maybe incident. Yep. So I have this incident. Now all these rules which you can see here, these rules are basically applied for incident management, incident table. And these are the ACLs for incident table and records. And you can see we have operations like read, delete, create, execute, write. You can also group them. So if I click here and I can just click here, group by operation, you will see the different types of ACLs have been created for incident management. So you can see here. Now, as of now, you can see I'm not getting this new button here, but you can get it. How? If you remember, I told you in order to do that, you have to elevate your access. Now, in order to elevate the access, you should also have security admin role. So let me see. So if you click on your profile here, you will see this elevate roles. That means I do have that particular role to enable it. So that means I have security_admin role. So if I click here, I will see this option here. I have to check that box. And if I click on OK, you will see the difference now. You can see now I'm getting this access control new button. That means in order to enable this new button, in order to work on access control, you can see the data, you can read the data, but if you have to create new rules, if you have to edit some existing rules, in that case, you have to elevate the role first, and then only you can create new ACLs and edit any ACLs you have in your instance. Now let me show you some security rules which automatically gets created when you create a table. So I will go to tables module. So I will go to tables. So here I have tables. I will just click on this module. I will get this new button. So I will click on new. So I will create a random table. Maybe I will mention ACL demo. Press tab. Name will be selected. I don't want to extend from any other table. I will maybe I will not create any module for now. I will just uncheck this, and then I will just create few fields. Maybe just one field for now, or maybe two. Let's create two fields. So one is maybe test1, and I will save this. I will put it as a string. Type will be string, and then I will put test2, and I will make it as string as well. Selected, and now I am saving this table. But before that, let me show you some other options as well. So I have here controls. So you can see it says create access control. Now you can select any new role you want. That is something you can do. That means you can select it. You can select the role here, and you want to create any access control, you can check this box. Or if you don't want, then you can uncheck it. So as of now, you can see I will create a role here, and I can add as well. So you can also select different roles if you want. As of now, it's just giving me. So maybe I can just uncheck it if I want, or maybe check. But let's see the difference, what exactly will happen. Then I have application access. They are just a configuration just to access the data for this table. So as of now, I will just keep as it is, and I will save it. So what difference you will see, you can see, you will see that we have this role, and I will just click on save. Now, once you will click on save, this table will be created. However, you will see some extra records. And as I mentioned, some of the access roles will be created automatically with all those 4 crude operations: create, read, write, and delete. So these are the 4 ACLs which will be created automatically. So let me open one of the ACL here. So if I open this ACL, this is the ACL record. That means the access control rule, which automatically got created. So you will see the same role here, not any other condition. That is something we have not applied as of now, because this is automatically created by default. When you create any table and when you check that box, you get those ACL automatically applied with the role here. Now let's create another table and see if these records are created or not. But as you can see, we have four roles, basically four access control rules, and it has this particular role. Now what exactly it means? It means the user who will have this particular role can create the record, can update the record, can delete the record. That is what you can do in this table. If user will not have this role, then they cannot. So let me create another table first. So I will go to tables and I will click on new, and now I will just maybe just ACL demo second. This is second table we are creating. Press tab. I don't want any module right now, and I will just click on columns, and I will mention here test 1. And then I will give it type as string, and then I will mention test 2, and here I will make it as string again. That's fine, this one. And in controls I will uncheck this box and I will save it. Let's see what happens. So as I have unchecked this box and I have saved the table, you can see it has not created ACLs automatically, and with that role as well. No roles have been applied. Now in this case, you have to add custom roles because it has not added any role automatically. Now let me show you how exactly this works. So maybe I will do one thing in my another browser. I will open a same instance, but I will impersonate a different user, or maybe I can show you in this particular in this particular session as well. So let me do that first. So in that case, I will go to maybe I will create a module of this particular table. So for that, I will maybe create another table. Or maybe I will just add this particular module in any application, maybe in self-service. So I will click on this. I will create a new module. So I will go here and I will do link type, list of records. Here I will select the table which we have just created. So I will type ACL. I'm sure I will get that table. ACL. So we have this demo and demo second. So we will create it for both the tables, and I can just as of now nothing. I'm not adding any kind of role to access the module. So I will just put here maybe 10,000, and title I can give maybe demo ACL, and I will submit it. So it is submitted. That means that module is created. Let's see. Yep, we do have let me check. I think as of now it's not added, but we will see. I'm sure it should be there. Yep, we have it here, demo ACL. I think we wanted to add it on the top, but it is at the bottom, but that's fine. That is still okay. Then we have demo ACL second, and then I can add here list of records, and I can select ACL, and I will select this table, and I will go to visibility, nothing, and I will just click on submit. Now I am logged in as an administrator, as you know that. So I have this particular module here. I don't have any records. I have but access to create the records here. I have this ACL. So I can create anything I want here, I can submit it. And I can see the records. Now, if I go at the top, I have this demo ACL second. If I click here, here also I have create access, you can see, and I can create the record. So maybe I will just do like this, and I can create the records here. But let me impersonate with any other user. So I will click on impersonate, and let me impersonate with ITIL user. If I go here, now I can see the table, the module basically, which we created. So if I click here, you can see I cannot access because there was no security rule. So I cannot access this table anymore. And if I go bottom and if I click here, let's see the difference here as well, because I don't have that role which was assigned to this particular table. Now, how can I get access to this table? So for that, I have to end the impersonation. And now I have to go to ACL. So if I go to maybe because we already have 4 ACLs for demo ACL table. That means the ACL demo table we created, we have those 4 ACLs. So let's see if I can access that data. But for that, what I can do, I can just go to sysuser.list. I will access that user first. So I have ITIL. Here I have this ITIL user. I will add that role into this user. Now, if you remember, the role we had, I think ACL. Yep, we have this role. So I will just add it. So I have added this role to the user. Now let's see if this user can access this particular module records. That means table records. So I will impersonate that. I will go to ITIL user. I will impersonate ITIL user now. Let's see. So if I go a little bit bottom, I can see it. Let's see. Yep, you can see that. I can see these records. Initially, I was not able to do that, but now I can see that. Now let's change something else. So I can see both the fields, the data we have in both the fields, I can see that. Let's say one thing, I want to hide this particular field data from this user specifically maybe. Or maybe I don't want to, I just want to show this data to a specific user. So in that case, what I will do, I will first end the impersonation. Now, if you will get this requirement from your customer, because you have to hide the data and you have to put some constraint for a specific fields. In that case, I will go to this table first. How I will do that? I will go to the list first, go to securities. So we have the security rules. So as of now, you know, we have just those 4 security rules for this particular table. Now this is just for all. That's the reason nothing is here. So let me show you that. So we have those 4 rules here. So what I will do, I will first elevate the role. Click on OK. Now, why we have not that elevated role? Because that's session based. So session is gone. There's a limited time and I have to enable it again. So I will click on create new. So I'm going to create a new access control rule for a table. So in that case, it will be record level and I will do read. Here I will add that particular table. So that is ACL. If I select that, let's see. Yep, we got it. ACL demo. And here I will select one of the field, test 2. So maybe I don't want to show test 2 field to few users. So in that case, what I will do, I will mention that only admin people can see that field data. So if I will click on save, it is applied, done, and I can click on continue. It is done. Let's see if it works or not. So I will go to impersonate and I will go to ITIL user then. And if I go a little bit bottom and if I go to demo ACL, you can see now I cannot see that field anymore. I can't even access that data. Even if I open the form, let's see if I'm able to see that. You can see I'm not even able to see that field anymore. Not data, not field. So this is how you can apply the ACLs, and it has really great powers. So if you want really good security rules to be applied, always use ACLs. If you want to restrict some data into ServiceNow, you have some sensitive data because you might have multiple users logged into your instances. So in that case, if you have a critical requirement from your customers, from your clients, in that case, you can apply that rule. So this is how you hide the data for different users, for your customers and clients. And that's how you apply ACLs.